Okay, so most everybody's back that's going to come back. So I honestly don't remember how I normally do this, so I'm going to do it the way I guess I'm going to do it. I could let you work on your Chapter 3 stuff while it's in your brain, maybe. But I could also go ahead and throw this at you, and then Thursday, you got time to figure things out. So for those that might be there, I want to get you started on the template. And if you're not there, that's okay. Okay, it's fine. We'll get there. But we're going to go ahead and start on it and get kind of moving on it, and kind of I can finish it up on Thursday, because sometimes it takes me the whole time to do it. Because I know some people may already be there. So the template assignment is down here at the bottom of Chapter 3, under the Chapter 3 stuff. And so template instructions. So what is a template? A template is something that we can use over and over that has some preset things on it that will help us to not have to remake the wheel every time. We can have things set up like our layers and our line types and all of that fun stuff. Because like when I was doing the Chapter 2, every time I started drawing, I had to go in and I had to mess with my settings so that I could make it, better to see here on the screen for everybody that's in class. So I do have some videos. They're in somewhat the correct order. So Chapter 4 layers, Chapter 4 layouts, template layouts, and then template setup part 1 annotation. And then I have these extra things down here. Now, what I figured out is that the layer setup, I finally have understood why I get this, and I'm gonna show you what the problem is. So the problem is when I made this screenshot, notice that this is black, but it says WH. Now, what color starts with WH? White. So what happened is when I went over to this other tab at the bottom called Layout 1 or Layout 2, I went over to Layout 1, and it automatically changes white to black. So I need to change this, because white is the color I want to use for 0, not black. Black is not a color that we want to use for a layer color, because model space is black. And unless we want to be a ninja and have things not show up real well, then yeah. Now, if we wanted to be camouflage, it'd be great, but we don't. We don't need it the same color. It doesn't matter what color it is. It doesn't need to be the same color as our backgrounds. And see, when I go into the paper side of things, where we do the Layout 1, Layout 2, I make my paper black colored also. So that really messes things up for it to work. But normally, like Mr. Anderson doesn't do that. His piece of paper looks white. The default is white, because paper is normally white, right? Office paper is typically a color of white. So what happens is when you go over to the layout and you're drawing in model space first, where things are black and you have white lines or yellow lines or purple lines or whatever, well, if they're white in the black model space and you go over to the white piece of paper, AutoCAD says, hey, that's not going to work, so we'll make them black. So I didn't realize that when I took my picture of this that I screwed up. So I think I fixed it, and I need to find my picture and fix it on here so that you guys don't do it. I guarantee my online people will have already done this and messed up. And it's not their fault, it's my fault because that's wrong. So what I'm saying is, when you make your layers, layer 0 needs to be white or some other color. I don't care, it doesn't have to be white. But it's just don't use really dark colors. Like don't use a really dark gray. Don't use black. Don't use, honestly, I don't even use the blue color because it's so dark. I use brighter colors like red, yellow, green. There's a magenta, which is kind of a purpley color. There's cyan, which is kind of a greenish blue. I use those colors so that I can see things. Make it nice and bright, you know, kind of thing. All right, well, anyway, so just to let you know that that was a mistake on my part that I need to go in and fix. Now, I have these other things on here like metric dim style, metric dimension style, and all this template layout example, like template layout example. Okay, so this is what we're going to end up drawing, except not sideways. So what I need to do is I need to go in and I need to edit my PDF so that it'll flip sideways for me. But anyway, this is just a picture of what you're going to draw eventually with some dimensions on it. I think it's got dimensions. Correct. It's hard to read. So we're going to create this. And notice that my piece of paper is black instead of the traditional white color. Doesn't matter. But I like it because since model space is that color, I use my paper the same so that my colors will show up either way for my layers. I don't have to be OCD about it and say that, you know, my piece of paper has to be whatever it really is, because it doesn't matter. What matters is I can see what you did. So don't use really dark colors. Mr. Anderson will say, well, don't use too many bright colors either because I can't see it on this white piece of paper. So if you have him for a class later on, you follow his rules. You got me, you follow my rules. It's just like having a boss at your job. One supervisor might do things one way, another supervisor may do them differently. You go along with whatever they want you to do. All right. And so in the dim style settings, I really just need to go in and redo those because, and actually I'm going to do the template differently than part of how I do the annotations one, how I do it. We're going to do it differently because I figured out a way to fix a problem that happens with the dimensions. And it'll all make sense in the end. Promise. So, I have a lot of work to do. And I don't have enough time to do it all, but try to explain stuff to you, and hopefully we'll get through this together and get it all figured out. And eventually I can fix some of these things. I hope. But anyway, let's move along. So, you're going to create a template. And it's going to have some different settings on it and so on. So, you know, you're welcome to watch the videos and whatnot, but I'm hoping that through going over it in the lecture, it'll make sense. And then if you want to go back and watch the lecture video, hopefully that'll make sense. Okay. All righty then. So those are the instructions. Let's see, does this have anything on there? Nope. Okay, so the type of file that you're going to turn in this one time, again, only once, is a DWT as in Tom. Whereas we normally turn in a DWG as in George file. So T is template, G is drawing. DWT for a template, DWG for the drawing file. And it's okay. Don't worry about it. It's okay. All right. Now that we beat that dead horse, let's come over here to AutoCAD, and I am going to go and I am going to start here. I'm going to go and pick a nope. Let's see, browse templates, and I want to start off with this guy right here, AutoCAD. Now, I'm in 2024. I should be in 2025, right? So maybe I should do that. So here, I'll just kill that. And no, I don't want to save all this stuff. And whatever. Come on. Anyway, all right. And let me see if I can find 25. That's mechanical. That's AutoCAD 25. So we'll try this one. See if this one works for me. So what's the difference between 24 and 25? The year. Looks the same to me, except this is what I was drawing stuff on the other day. All right, so this one has me starting off with the acad.dwt. So that's the one I wanted to use. Well, if that didn't show up when I hover over new, then I would click on here, and it might show me one that I'd already used, which is this guy. So I guess the difference between 24 and 25 is it actually gives me a listing of ones that I've used. Maybe that's the difference. So acad.dwt is what I want to start with. Okay. Now the other day I showed you like you have these tool palettes like layer properties. If you click on it, it shows up. And if you click on the little below the X, you can make it stay open. Okay, so this is the layer box. So what are layers? Ogres have layers. Lasagna has layers. One of these days, people aren't going to know who Shrek is, and it's going to be very sad. But anyway. Yeah. Good movie, though. So what do layers allow us to do? Now, this is starting with Chapter 4. But layers help us to organize our drawings. So it's like file management. You want to manage where your files are stored. Well, on here, we want to manage where we put geometry, like lines, or different kinds of lines. Remember, we talked about line types earlier. So this is where we can adjust those things. So like I said, layer 0 is set to white. I'm going to leave it alone. But there's 4 buttons up here above where it says name. And see, I can make this bigger. You know, I can grab the bottom of it. I can make it like that. Now, if I was really good and knew exactly how to use this silly thing, I guess I could zoom up. I don't know if that's doing that at home or not. I don't even know that that's even helping. And that one's not zooming because I'd have to do it too. So I don't guess it really matters. Yeah. Well, anyway, that is the layer manager. And so the layer manager can stay up. I keep it on my screen. I just have it to be hidden. There you go. And all you see is a stick, basically. So what will happen on my computer is, depending on where I had it last, if I had AutoCAD on the left side of my screen and I moved it over to the right screen, because I have 2 screens, well, then I have to go back and move the layer and the property tool palettes over to the other screen. So if you ever watch a video where I moved stuff over. That's what happened is it was on the other screen and I moved it over here. Anyway, but see, I've got the two ones. If I go over there, that's properties. I'll leave it up, and then this one is layers. So you've got four little buttons here above where it says name. And so what I'm going to do is scoot this over. Oh, I know what I can do. Here. What I wanted to do is to open these up so you can see what. So you have an understanding of what they are. Okay, so this section is on or off. This is freeze or thaw. This is lock or unlock, plot or don't plot, colors, line types, line weights, transparency. There we go. All right, and then is it frozen in the viewport, and what's a description? Don't want to do that. Okay. What does all this stuff mean, and why do you care? Well, if you turn it off or on, then stuff disappears or shows up, which is how you can use it to organize things. What if you wanted to have a floor plan of a house, and then you on your electrical plan, you didn't care if the dimensions were there, but you wanted to show the electrical stuff? So you could actually have the same drawing, have all that stuff on different layers, and then when you go over to the layout and you have your viewport, which is a window that we're going to talk about, into here, model space, then I could filter it that way, which is kind of cool. Or if I'm out here in model space and I don't want to see certain things, I could turn them off and turn them back on. I need to, be able to see something. Just remember that if you turn something off and then you move stuff, the stuff that was turned off doesn't move with it. That's something that I had to figure out the hard way. All right.
Do you have like a second window open, right, where you're doing like settings and stuff? Because if you do, it's not showing up on the screen here.
No, I just have AutoCAD like this. Can you see AutoCAD?
Yes, but never mind. I thought there was like a second window open that had settings on it.
Well, no, what I was trying to say is sometimes like these two, like the properties and the layers, if I have two screens and I move AutoCAD from one to the other, these guys don't move with it because they just hang out on the screen.
Okay.
So sorry if you misunderstood. Now, I'm not in any settings. I'm just trying to explain these guys right here.
Okay, I got it. Thank you.
Starting to try to go through this stuff. That's all. It's okay. No worries. Okay, so so this is our layer box, our layer manager. And I tried to open these up so that you can see each one of these things. And like I said, you can look on yours. And so you have off and on, you have freeze and thaw, you have lock, unlock, plot, so on. So you can have something that is on the screen but doesn't necessarily print if you didn't want it to. Then you could turn it off if you didn't want to see it, that kind of thing. So anyway, you've got these four buttons up here above name. And status. So the checkbox there means that that's the current layer. And this first button right here is new layer. The next one is new layer. Viewport frozen in all viewports. That's really crazy. Delete a layer and then make layer current. Well, let's just worry about this first one. So we're going to make some layers. So if I just click it once, it gives me the option to name the layer. So I gave you a picture that has the wrong color for the 0 layer on it, or at least it shows the wrong color. And it has all those layers on there, and we're going to make those layers. So like I might have one and call it object, and you can do them all caps, you can do them all, you know, lowercase. Like, you know, most of the time we've got this on all caps. Object, you know, you might have one called walls, you might have one called floors, you might have one called concrete. I mean, you could have all kinds of different ones. Section. Let's see. Center. Apparently, I hit the button and then it didn't want to let me name it. So if you pick it and then you pick it again, it'll do that kind of that delay click thing where it'll let you rename it. You can also right click on it and rename it. So let's see, I've got object layers, center layers, hidden layers. All right, and then layer, let's see, sitting here, text. I always put my text on a separate layer. Why? Because that's what my teacher did, and that's what I do. One for dimensions, because sometimes you want to have your dimensions show or not show, but you want the text to show. So that's why I have them on different layers. And it's just a way of organizing your drawing. So the other line type that we're missing is a phantom line. And the funny thing is, we don't use it that often, but I still want you to know what it looks like and have it on your template. So like if you continued in the CAD program, then you'd have it, and when you needed to use it, it was there. So I think there's typically 7 that I have, including 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we've got our object lines, we've got hidden lines, we've got center lines, we've got phantom lines, and I misspelled phantom. So how do I fix that? Well, if I right click on it, I can go to rename layer, and I can fix the phantom layer. Oops, P-H-A-N-T-O-M, like so. All right, now they're all on, none of them are frozen. I've never really understood the difference between off and on and freeze and thaw, because I think whenever you freeze something, it goes away. Now, it's possible that it stays there, but you can't do anything to it. Then what would be the difference between that and locking it? So anyway, there's lots of interesting, weird things. So the next thing is, what colors do I want things to be? Now, I have different colors on there, and I may not pick the same ones that I have on the little example. But like I said, we don't use the darker colors. And I usually stick, you know, notice you've got this index of 256 colors. You can go to True Color. We can go in here and pick all these different shades. Then you got color books where you can go through and find all kinds of crazy stuff. Well, you've ever been to a paint store or gone to Home Depot and look at the paint aisle, and there's too many colors. There's 10,000 greens and blues and yellows and gray. How many different shades of gray are there? Oh my. There's more than 50. Anyway, let's see, what am I doing? Center line. Let's see, I'm going to make that one cyan. And then my hidden lines, since we use a lot of center and hidden, they should probably be different colors. I'll make that one magenta. I'll make the text green. Okay. Dimensions, I always make my dimensions red. Why? Because that's what my teacher did. I don't care like that. Since I don't use the phantom as much, I'm going to make it the same color as my center line. And then object line, I always make it wide. That's just okay, so I've got my colors. Now I need line types. So how do I fix that? Well, for center, I can click on this. And oh, wait, I don't have center. What the heck do I do now? Well, you have this little button called load, right? Yes, Mr. Doty, it's right there on the screen. Load. And now I can go find what I want. What am I looking for? Center line. Oh, look, there's a center line. Boom, there's a center line. So you'll notice that there's a center 2, and a center X2. So the center 2 is half the size of a regular center line, and the center 2X is 2 times the size. So remember we talked about, well, I mentioned line type scale. Well, if you have them all the same kind or variation, like center is just center, hidden is just hidden, and phantom is just phantom, then they're all the same scale. So when you do your line type scale, you know, there's a certain way they're going to react depending on what you change the number to. Well, if you go with something different, like let's say center lines are the ones you have the most trouble with getting to show up right. So maybe you would want to use the 2X or the center 2 for that, just for that center line, just so that it makes it easier to do your line type scale. Could be. We could try it. But you could also just use the center one. So I hit OK. And the thing is, yes, I loaded that line type, but I haven't selected it yet and applied it. So then you have to click on the one you want it to be and hit OK for it to change. Let's see, center hidden. And I have to go load that one. Now, can I load more than one at a time? Can I do more than one thing? Sure. Hidden line, I'm going to leave hidden. And I'm going to hit OK. And then I'm going to go ahead and load my phantom. And see, you could hold down, you could go pick them and hold down Control as you pick them. And you could pick all the line types you want in one shot and hit load, hit OK, and you'd have them there to select from. Or you can do them one at a time. So I try not to confuse people and make it too hard on them. So I'm going to use the Phantom 2 this time, which is the half size. And we're going to see what that one's hidden, so I'm on hidden. Do hidden, then we're going to do phantom. I have a lot of people that forget to change their phantom line to a phantom line. All right, so 0 is continuous, center has center, hidden has hidden, text is continuous, dim is continuous, phantom is phantom, and object is continuous. Cool. All right, so now you've got line weights. Okay. Different places have different standards for the width of the lines. Now, the only reason that I'm going to change my object line and make it, or my object layer and make it thicker, is so that when we draw on the screen, when I draw on the screen, you can see it better. And I may change some of these other ones, but you don't have to if you don't want to. So let's see. And I don't honestly remember what I normally made that one. I think I made that one. And let's see. That one. see if we can. There we go. I held down shift and then picked this one up here. Now let's see what happens. 25. All right. So basically, all I did was go in and I made this one 40.40 and the rest of these 25. 0. Well, you know what? We'll make that one. I don't know. We'll see what it looks like. Now, do you need to do this? No, you don't have to. But do you need to do line types? Yes. Do you need to do colors? Yes. Do we use dark colors? No. Negative. Negative ghost type. Okay, so that's our layer setup right there. Boom, done. Yay. So how do so right now I'm on layer 0 up here. How do I change layers without having to open this up every time? Well, up here in the layer box under home, you have the little mini layer manager. So you can go in and you can pick which layer you want to be on. You can pick where you want to send something to a different layer. So, what happens so I'm on layer 0, right? And let's say I drew a circle and I drew a circle on layer 0 and I said, oh, shoot, that's supposed to be an object layer. How do I get it on object layer? Do I have to delete it? No, you don't. What you can do is you can pick it, go up here, it'll tell you it's on layer 0, and then you can say, hey, I want that to be on object layer. And you're like, those don't show up any better. Why do they not show up better? Well, there's a thing down here I have turned on called show or hide line weights. Look at that. So I can now see my line weights. The only other way I would see them is if I were to print it. That would be how it would work. Okay. Nice. All right, so I'm still on layer 0. So what happens if I want to draw on layer whatever? I need to go up there and change it to that. I can click on the little down thing and I can go to object, and now I'm on object, which is good. It's a good thing. Except I'm going to go back to 0 because we're going to work on our template. You're probably like, what the heck's you talking about? Okay. All right, so we did our layers. That's good. And I'm going to go back to layer 0. So we've got our layers set up. The next thing that you would do, if I had my little instruction sheet that I used to make, bless you, is I would go in and I would type in ST for style. And I don't know why this was my thing, but I would do that. And I would go in and we would set up a new text style so that we don't have to do this later. You remember last time when we went to our text command and it said, hey, how tall do you want your text? And we had to type in how tall we wanted it. Well, that's because there's no height set for standard, and standard is the default. Current text style is standard. Well, what if we want to make a new one? Now, I never name it anything except style 1. Not real creative, but you know what? It doesn't matter. But now, if you had something different, like you had multiple text styles that you wanted to use, it's kind of like in Word and Excel where you have all those different styles already set up. Well, you could go into AutoCAD and set up your own. Like you've got some for notes, and you might have one for dimensions, and then anyway, you could have different text styles for different things. Well, we're just going to do style 1, and for style 1, I want to make the height 0.125. And you're saying, well, why didn't you just change standard to be 0.125 and then you'd just be done? Well, because standard needs to stay 0. Why does it need to stay 0? Well, I need it to be 0 so that this text style manager does not control the height of it. Remember, we said that that's why it asked us how tall we wanted our text when we use the text option. If I have it set to something, then it automatically will be that size. So standard is what we're going to use for dimensions. So we need to set it up as standard is 0. So I need a separate one that is a height of something. And I've just always done this style 1 thing. You could probably just go up here to annotate, and you could do the same thing. You could change it and make it 0.125. And then you could make a new one and call it metric. And notice that it's got that little triangle by it, which means it's annotated. And then, so the metric one, that one would be 3. I'm not really sure if it matters or not if you have those on there, because when I do dimensioning, I use the standard one set to 0 for the height. This one would only be for if you were using it for notes and text. That's where this would come in. And I know I'm throwing a lot of stuff at you. That's why working on it a little bit today, and then working on it a little bit on Thursday and finishing up is probably the best way to do this, so you can let it sink in. So metric is going to be 3, because 3 millimeters is how big your text would be. And then annotated would be 0.125, which that's your inch one. And what about the font? Remember we talked about fonts maybe? Maybe we didn't. Arial is good. Verdana is good. The one that says TXT is bad. I don't ever want to see that one. Well, why not, Mr. Doty? Because it looks horrible. The numbers and the letters just aren't different enough to be able to easily read it. It looks like a computer just had a bad day. So anyway, you don't pick weird things like, like Comic Sans would probably be okay, because it's not one that has little tails and stuff. You're not going to use a cursive one. You know, we print our letters, so we want it to be easily read. So it needs to be a font that's easy to read. So Arial's good, and we're going to move on. The width factor, we don't need to change. Upside down and backwards, we don't need to do anything with those. Like if you click upside down or you click backwards, that's what you get. Doesn't look like I can do vertical. If you needed to put them at an angle, you can change the angle of it. Like if they were angled, then they would look like that. But we don't need any of that. So I want to make style 1 current. So I'm going to click on it, and it's set to 0.125, and we're going to use set current. And then I'm going to hit close. Yes.
Can you show these settings for the metric annotative again?
Next. Let's see, ST style. Metric is just set to 3, and it has the annotated checked.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So annotated is set to 0.125. Metric, annotated, set to 3. Standard is set to 0. And then style 1 is set to 0.125. All right, any other questions on that? So sorry if I went too fast. Okay, so moving along. Style, set current, and close. Okay, cool. All right. So now we've got that. So we've done our layers and we set up our text style. Now what? Well, now let's mess with you some. So down here at the bottom, you've got this thing called Model, Layout 1, and Layout 2. And I'm going to hide this. So layout 1. Now, when you do this, yours probably looks like a white sheet of paper. There's nothing wrong with that. If you want yours to look like mine, here's how you do it. And I don't care which one you use. Just remember that well, it doesn't matter. If you go over there and you have bright colors, then it's going to be like, oh my, that's a white sheet of paper and I can't see what I'm looking at. Maybe I should have changed it to black like Mr. Doty said, but you know, like I said, it doesn't matter to me. But please use colors for your layers. I've given up with Mr. Anderson's class doing that, but for mine, I would like you to use colors, okay? Anyway. It just makes for a nicer drawing, but that's my opinion. Everybody has an opinion, and they're kind of like, everybody has it. So you'll notice on here that you have this window thing. This is called a viewport. Do not, under any circumstances, delete it or get rid of it or move it or do anything to it right now. Okay? Think of it as something really important. You know, it's a delicate piece of glass. It doesn't need to be shattered or busted up or messed up. Okay? How many people are going to delete it? All right. And what is that? Well, if you click inside of it, that is model space. Yeah, that model tab, you know, where we drew everything last week, that's where that is. If I draw something in model space, it can show up here. How do I activate it? Well, you can double click inside the box, or you can click down here. Well, here, I'll just double click outside the box. Now, notice this says paper now. Well, if I click on it, it says model, and a whole bunch of extra stuff pops up. And this little thing right here comes up and gives me some scales. Now, if for some reason you don't have all of these scales, I can show you how to reset it to get those. It doesn't happen every time, but sometimes in our lab or at home, it just doesn't install the same way. And that's okay. We'll figure it out. But I can change the scale, like I typically use 1:1. And if you were able to tell, you could see that the grid zoomed up. Now this is going to be our inch piece of paper, because how do I know what kind of paper it is? Well, I'm going to hit model here to get back out of that. So right now I'm on my page, my layout, okay? If I double click inside of here, I'm on, oh look, I'm moving the inside space here. Ooh, there it is. Okay. So that's a window in the model space. So what do I want to do with this? I want to draw a border and title block and put some text on it and do some other cool stuff. Okay? Well, first of all, I need to set this up correctly. And nobody else does this except me, and it drives me crazy that even though I have the instructions set up like this, they still don't do it, and whatever. There's a reason I do what I do. 30 years of experience means something, I hope. But that's okay. If you go out and you use AutoCAD, do you remember I said something about printers and the fact that the reason that we set like that PDF printer the other day, that it's a good idea to set something up that's on everything? Well, there's a reason, because if not, it can mess this up. It can move stuff on our layout and which is really irritating. So how do we make this work to where it does what I want to do? Because what I want is I want the corner of this paper to be 0, 0, so that I can use some coordinates, ooh, those dreaded coordinates, to draw a rectangle and have it located perfectly 1/4 inch off of the corner. How do I do that? Well, if I don't change the paper layout that I have right here, let's see what happens if and I could be wrong, but let's see what happens. So if I go to rectangle, right? Now this is just an example. If I go to rectangle and it says, where do you want to start? Well, if I put 0, comma, 0, let's see where it draws from. Oh, it's drawing from there. Now, is that 1/4 inch off the corner? I don't know. I really don't. Let's see if it is. So I'll try to draw something. So if it's 8.5 by 11 and I need 1/4 inch off the corner, then that would be 1/2 inch less. So that'd be 10.5. So my X would be 10.5, comma. And you're like, well, why didn't you put the @ symbol? Well, as long as dynamic's on, it's all relative. So I could use the @ symbol. And well, why did you make us use the @ symbol? Because I wanted you to make sure when you wrote it, you knew that that tells me it's a relative coordinate when you write it. AutoCAD, if dynamic is on, everything's relative except for the first point, which is 0.25, 0.25, right there. All right, so, and it's actually where it needs to be. I didn't realize it was going to do that. I'm still not going to leave the paper set this way because I don't like that goofy dotted line, but we'll see how it works out. So 10.5 is the X, and then Y is 8.5 minus 1/2, so it'd be 8. So we're going to do 8. And imagine that, it actually works. Now, when you get to your larger sheets of paper, which we don't have to in this class, it's not always the same. But if I go and change, so let me just do this. So what happens if I go to print? Well, just for example, I go to print and it's set on none right now. Well, what if I set it to a printer? Let's say I changed it to, I don't know, the AutoCAD PDF file. And it's on layout. That's what I want. And I'm just going to hit apply layout, hit OK. Oh, no, I don't want to do that. I hit apply the layout and I'll hit preview. Oh, well, that's not what it's supposed to look like, is it? You know why it did that? Because I actually gave it a printer. I changed printers, so it moved. This is why I tell people, look, when you set it up, just to help make everything cool and easy, just listen to me and do what I ask you to do. Because if you were to use this and go out in the real world, you get mad. And it's okay. So I'm going to cancel. And see, it moved it because now yeah. Whoops. So now I got to start all over, right? So that's why I do what I do. Nobody listens to me, but that's okay. I'm a little red hand. It's all right. So how do I get this set up the way I want? Well, if you right-click on Layout 1, and you go to Page Setup Manager, you can manage your stuff. Like I changed that to AutoCAD PDF, which is what I want. So what I want you to do is make sure, and at home you're not going to have all these extra printers. But assign your layout to a printer that is not a local printer. And honestly, PDF is probably the best thing you can do. Because why? Everybody can read a PDF. You can send it anywhere. Or you can print it, really. It's easy. You can print it virtually, you can print it for real. So that's why I'm going to put it on PDF general documentation. Why do I beat a dead horse? Because I have to try to get the point across. People still don't listen to me, and that's okay. Notice the paper changed. Now you also notice there's no dotted line out here either. Well, when you use the full bleed option, it gets rid of that dotted line. Any ideas what that dotted line could have been? That's the print area. So on a PDF, your print area goes to the edge of the paper. Okay? In the old days, that print area wasn't even, which was really annoying because on an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, it would have like the bottom would be like an inch, and then maybe it was a 1/4 inch on one side or the other, and a 1/2 inch on the other, and it wasn't centered. They finally got it to where they made things that could print to a 1/4 inch around the edge of the paper. So now, like when we have those narrow margins on some of our documents that we did earlier, you could do that and print closer to the edge of your paper. All right, well, anyway, so if you use full bleed, A is what we're using. 8.5 by 11 is fine. Inches is good for now. Layout's good. We're not worried about moving it. The plot style, I always set mine to monochrome. And of course, I have it set for landscape so that when it prints, and see, it gives me the orientation of how it's going to print. So if I were to change the orientation of the paper, which A is the only one that it does that with pretty much, if you go up one, so you've got ANSI 11 by 8.5 or 8.5 by 11. If you pick that one, turns it sideways, you still sit on landscape, does that. So see, it's still, the orientation's still fine. So whichever one you pick is fine, I don't care. It'll work either way because you want it to be landscape on the orientation. Okay. Anybody have any questions on these settings? Try to remember to ask questions. I will try to remember to ask before I'm going because I go too fast. Okay, so general documentation, full bleed. Whichever one, make sure that says landscape, that says monochrome, and that says layout, and it should be good to go. 1:1 scale. All right, and we'll hit OK. Now I hit close. How did I get there? Okay, we'll review. Right click on layout 1. Go to page setup manager and then hit modify. And there you are. Okay. So that's why I do what I do for the page setup. Maybe I should have done that in the beginning. Yes, sir.
Evan has a hand up, but it might be an old hand.
Oh, well. Did you have a question, Evan?
Oh, sorry, I forgot to lower my hand. No, I don't have a question.
Okay, you're good. No problem. We're good. Okay, so that's our page set up. We got our text set up. We got our layers set up. Now what? Well, now we can draw our border and title block. And used to, that's as far as I went, because then you're going to do your dimensions later on. The only problem is you're going to use this template to draw your stuff in chapter 4. And you're going to reuse some of your chapter 4 to complete chapter 8. So what happens if you don't do the annotations and all that stuff now? You have to do it later. Well, it kind of ends up taking more time. So if we take our time now and add that information, we'll be in better shape. So part of what we're going to do now is I'm going to go over how to put in the layer or the title block and the border. Then I'm going to show you how we'll have that all set up. Then we're going to create our metric version of this on the same file. So we've got both. And then hopefully I've got time to do the annotations and show you what I want and hopefully how it's going to work different than my video. Anyway, moving along. So let's try this again. I'm on layer 0, which is fine. I'm going to go to the rectangle command. Now remember, your first coordinate is always going to be absolute. And I want to start from the 1/4 inch in, up and over from the bottom left corner. And hopefully if I do this, it'll work. So I type in, go to rectangle command, where do you want to start? First corner, I don't click on anything. I type in 0.25, comma 0.25. You always hit enter or space bar. And then that looks good. And then, like I said earlier, it's going to be 10.5, comma 8 for the other corner. So now this is a relative coordinate. From this point, it's now relative. So it's going to go over 10.5 and up 8 from where I'm at. And that's relative. All right, do that. Yay. That looks great. You know what the only problem with a rectangle is? It's all hooked together. It is. Well, yeah, rectangle is a polyline. See, if I hover over it, it's got 4 lines, right? Now, I taught you a command that you can blow things up with. And the icon actually used to be a piece of dynamite, which I thought was pretty cool, but apparently that's not very okay for people to be playing with explosives. I don't know. I'd like to get paid to play with explosives. Wouldn't that be cool? I knew a guy, that's what he did for a living. Made real good money at it, too. My brother-in-law did that in the Army. Of course, he was in charge. He'd say, okay, guys, you take that C4 over there and go do stuff with it. But he also learned how to use it, too. But anyway, so what do I want to do with this guy? I want to explode him. So I go up here and I find the explode button, or explode command. It's also X, I think. Let's see, X. Yeah, if you type in X, you get explode. So we're going to explode our rectangle. Kaboom. Now we have separate lines. So down here, we're going to make a title block. Your title block is 3/8 tall. What command can I use to make a line parallel with the bottom line, 0.375 up? Any ideas? It's one of my favorite ones. You got to go to the racetrack. Remember which one is related to a racetrack. Then you would go to offset, which now looks like a NASCAR track. And so I told you the distance needs to be 0.375. 0.375. And then we go click on the line, we go the direction we want, and we pick. Now while I'm here, I'm going to keep offsetting, except I'm going to go with different measurements because I can still do that. Now, once you go out of offset, you have to, when you go back in, you have to start all over again with a new number and everything, okay? But I'm still in the command. I haven't hit enter to finish it out. So what I can do is I can pick on this line and I can go this direction. It's just how far do I need to go? Okay, well, I could go find one of my pieces of paper laying around here that's got it on there. Or I could go back over here to the page here. And let's see. Template instructions, sideways one. Layers, dimension style, template layout example. And let's blow this guy up. All right, so that's supposed to say 2.5. That's supposed to say 1.2. But you know what would be easier? Here, we'll just download this. All right, and rotate, rotate, rotate. Here we go. Now, that's still not the greatest, but this is 2.5. This is 1.25. This is 1. This is 4. Usually what I do is these are the two I get mixed up. And we're going to have our name. We're going to have the class. We're going to have the date. We're going to have drawing name, which I'll show you how it works, the scale, and the scale. But we're going to use some different things that work for this. So 2.5, that's what I need. So let's go back over to AutoCAD. All right, so I need to type in 2.5, enter. And then this line needs to go to the right. And I believe it was 1.25. Yep, 1.25, 1.25. And then this line is going to go 1. And then this line is going to go 4. So it's going to be 2.5, 1.25, 1. That'll give you these. Now, the only other thing you got to do is trim. So I'm done offset, and I'm going to hit enter to finish it out. So remember I talked about, precise trimming? This is one of those times where you want to precise trim something. So I'm going to pick this line right here. And I'm going to go find trim, which is up here. And then I'm going to come up here to above my viewport. And I'm going to hold down my left mouse button, and I'm just going to use what we call a fence. Now, you could individually click on the lines, and it'd be fine. Not a problem. However you want to do it. I'm done, so I hit enter, spacebar. Okay. Now, in the old days, I would say, okay, go ahead and stretch your viewport out to match your drawing area. Well, don't do that, because we're going to use that for something in a minute. The next thing you want to do is we want to do some text. Now, like, well, don't you want to change over to your text layer? Well, no. Why not? Well, the reason I don't is because I want all of this on one layer, so that if I were to turn text off, it doesn't affect this. So like some people will make a border layer or a title block layer, something like that. I just put everything on 0 because it's simple. And that's why I leave it as white and I move on. If you have a white piece of paper, you'll notice that your white turned into a black line like it's supposed to. That's why we don't have a color on our layer that would be black or really dark color, okay? So that's my bad. See you later. I need to fix my layer and stuff on here. So hopefully the people online will watch this and not get too bored with it and understand, Oh, wait. He told us that he does, you don't change that color. Or you don't have to. All right. So let's move along. So what do I need to do? Well, I'm going to zoom in and I'm going to start doing some text. So remember we talked about text. There's two kinds of text. There's multi-line text and there's single-line text. Well, I want to make sure that I put my text centered inside of each one of these blocks or thereabouts. Most of the blocks is going to be that way. How do I do that? Your first thing would be very carefully, and that's, oh, okay, yeah, thank you, Mr. Smarty Pants. So what I want to do is I'm going to use multi-line text, and I want to pick this corner here and this corner here, or you could start down at the bottom corner and pick the opposite corner. It's fine. Just make sure you do the whole box, right? Now notice you've got a menu up here, and notice that it's already set to 0.125 and that style 1 is the default. So style 1 is the one that's selected. These are my other options. Style 1 is good. 0.125 is fine. And everything else up here is good. Now, justification, I would like it to be middle center so that it's in the middle of stuff. Turn that off, okay?
I'm sorry?
Oh, wait. Maybe you can mute it. Or turn the volume down. How about that?
Okay.
It's just, there's a lot of
Yeah.
and it's really bugging me. Okay?
I apologize.
That's fine. It's all right. You're not listening to it exactly, so I don't want to. All right, so middle center is what we want. Guess what? I want cap locks on. Why? Because all letters are capitalized, period. The only exception is when we have a metric tolerance. That's okay to be different. All right? Okay, so I don't know what your name is, but I know what my name is. So I'm going to put my name here. No, you don't need to type M-Y-N-A-M-E. Yeah, smarty butt. Yeah. Somebody would. My name. You told me to put my name. Mm-hmm. You want a grade for it, my name? Because I don't know what your name is. Anyway, so we're going to do that. And then we're going to hit, I got middle center for justification. And I'm going to close there, right? Okay, next thing, what are we going to do? Same thing. Okay, well, what happens if I hit the space bar? Oh, look, it says, hey, what do you want to do? Well, that's cool. So instead of me having to go up there and click on that every time, I could just hit the space bar to go back into it. And for the text, multi-line text option, that actually works. And it goes where I want it to go. So I'm going to put this on middle center. And let's see, what is the next thing that I need? I need the class. So we're going to put in our class, which is CAD 100. Now, if you do CAD space 100, that's fine. It doesn't matter. Just whatever the class is, that's what you put. So later on, when people take other classes, they can use the same file and update it and change things. All right, so that's what I want. Justification, center, close text editor, date. All right, this one's going to be fun. So we're going to do this. We're going to pick this and then justify it the way we want. Now, wouldn't it be nice if the date automatically would fix itself for us? Wouldn't that be awesome? I think it would be awesome. So I'm going to show you how you do it. We have these things called fields. Up here where it says insert, you can insert columns, you can insert a symbol. Like if you need to do degrees or diameter or angles or other stuff, or you can do a field. Well, that's neat. We got all kinds of cool stuff here. So we've got author, creation date. Let's see, the date. Oh, date. Date sounds good. And I'm going to keep it short format like this. And I mean, if you want to make it different, that's fine. It doesn't matter. But I'm using this one. You can use that one if you want. Just keep it short so that it fits in the box. Now, when you have a field, I'm just going to hit Close Text Editor because I have it middle centered. Close Text Editor. Notice when it's a field, it has a gray background. That's okay. That just tells us that it's a field. It will auto adjust itself. All right, now you can thank Mr. Late for some of this information because when he went through this class many, many moons ago, he helped me find some of these fields. And so I've, tried to use this information because I think it's pretty cool and I like it. It kind of makes things work better. So this right here is where we put the name of our assignment. If you will use good file management practices and name your assignment file, the name of the assignment, like P2-1, P4-1, P6-1, then this is going to work great for you. And I don't understand why other people don't do this. Like, I hate to throw Mr. Anderson under the bus, but he doesn't show his students how to do this. I don't know why, but he does. Anyway, and I think he uses some of my videos where I actually do go and show how to do this. And in fact, I'm going to remake my video. Anyway. All right. And it's fine. It's not like you have to. I'm just like, if you could do something to automate your process, when you want to do that, all right, now it says justification. Click on that. Go to okay. Well, here I can probably show you. I'm not sure how to fix that exactly. Let's see. All right, let's pick on it. So when you did your box, what you should have done is picked one of these corners.
I did that one.
Yeah, so what you should have done is picked from here down to here. Yeah, you want to make the opposite corner. So what we do is we can take that and go to move, and we can go down to seriously. Okay, there we go. Ta-da! So the next one, when you pick it, pick one of these, but go to the opposite. So if you pick the top one, go down here, bottom one, go up here. And that'll get you where you need to go. Okay, so in case some of you guys at home may have run into this where maybe yours didn't show up like mine did. What did you do differently? Well, what you could have done possibly is when you did your text box, which is what this is, It's a box, so you need to do the diagonal, okay? Which means you go from either the bottom to the top or top to the bottom on your box. So that's just all you have to remember to do. So I'm going to pick here, go up here so that it creates a box. Then when you do your justification, you'll be in good shape. All right, so this one is our file name. Oh, well, that's cool. Why? That's why he's making a big deal out of saving my file this way. Exactly. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go up here to fields again. We're going to look for file name. Now, this is where people goof up. I don't care how you type in your file name as far as it being capitalized or not. But if you want to make sure it shows up in all caps or uppercase, then you better pick on uppercase. And I only want the file name, and I don't want the extension. So see, it says drawing 1. Up here it says drawing1.dwg. That's fine. When I change it, it'll change to whatever my file name is. But I don't want the extension, so I uncheck this, and I just want the file name only. Now, there might be some places that you work where maybe they want to have the path on there so they know where to look up the drawing, know where to look for it if they had to go back and find the drawing. I'm not worried about that. So I just want file name and then uppercase, file name only, uncheck that, and then you hit OK. And boom, drawing 1, yay. All right, so now, I used to make this last one really complicated. I don't know why, because it doesn't have to be complicated. You know, there's the old adage of keep it stupid simple. And that's not trying to tell people that, you know, you're dumb or anything. It's just saying, you know, don't make things complicated when they don't need to be. You know, why give you a bunch of extra steps when all you really have to do is this? And sometimes, you know, people that know what they're doing, who have a lot of experience, can't see the forest for the trees. I'll admit that. So keep it simple. That's our mantra, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to go back into this guy, and I'm going to make another box, and I'm going to make it through the whole thing, and I'm going to get middle center for right now, because I can make this work. So what do I need to do? Well, I need to type the word scale on here. But I have something else I need to do. So this one's got a couple of extra things, or one more extra thing. So scale, colon, and then I'm going to add some spaces here. Like I added 3 spaces. We'll try 3 spaces and see what it looks like. If we need to add more, we can edit it. I'll show you how to edit text. Okay, what do you think I'm going to put in here? You think I'm going to put a dummy word like full or 1:1? No. We're going to put a field in here. When I go all out, I go all out. I want to automate this. I want this thing to automatically be able to, I can hit update, highlight a bunch of stuff, and go poof, it's fixed. I don't have to do a bunch of changing. Am I lazy? No. I'm using my time wisely. So what do I need to do? I need to go to field, and this time we're going to pick objects. Now, then you click on object again, and you notice there's this little green block. Sorry. there's a green box in the middle section there. And when you hover over it, it says select the object. Remember I said that I used to have everybody, you know, make your viewport fit inside your drawing area. Well, I did that because I didn't realize that I could find the scale of this viewport. You can do what? You can find the scale of the viewport. So if I click on Object, this is what Mr. Late helped me find. So you pick on Object, you pick on your viewport window, edge. That's why we didn't move it. And now it says, oh, you want the custom scale of the viewport. Yes, I do. And then use the scale name, which works for me. There's other options on here, but this is the best one that I found that I like. So I hit Object, pick the object, which is the viewport, which is this box right here. Then custom scale, and then use scale name. Once you do that, you hit OK. And you remember I scaled this to 1:1 earlier? Well, that's why that showed up. You might get a random number that says 0.562 or something, or 0.635 or 0.8351. And that's okay. All right, so that's all I need. That looks pretty good in space. You know, if I wanted more space, I could use my arrow keys and I could move over in front of the field and I could add, see, I could add some space in there if I wanted to. But, you know, whatever works for you, whatever you think, just at least put 3 spaces in between the 2 pieces there. And then when you're done, click on Close Text Editor. Now, if I didn't, let's say I thought, man, you know, that's not enough or that's too much. How do you edit the text? So if you goof up, how do you fix it? Well, what you can do is you can double click on the text, just double click on it, and then it'll go back into edit mode and you can go in and you can change stuff. So then I can either click or I can use my arrow keys to go in and I could delete a space out, let's say, and then close text editor. And if I look at that, everything's all nice and neat. All right, so then I can take my viewport and don't forget to grab the corner, drag it up here, drag the other corner, drag it down here, and now it takes up the whole drawing area. Now I'm going to hit Escape to deselect it, and this is my layout. This is my title block. This is my piece of paper that I'm going to draw on. Well, I'm going to pull my drawing, you know, have my drawings on it. This is all that you're going to draw on here, okay? Do not draw your views on here. You will draw your views over here in model space. Not here. So if I go grade your work and it's here and it's not here, then we have a problem. And you'll need to copy and paste it over back into model space so that we can get that fixed. Okay. So any questions so far? So we've got our border, we've got the title block. Now we have all of the text inside the title block. And I fixed my viewport, so now it's nice and pretty and looks good. Okay. So our next objective is to create a metric version of this. And you're like, oh no. We've got to measure in metric? Oh my gosh, how are we going to do that? Yes, it's easy. You know, you hit the easy button.
That was easy.
And it is easy. So what do you mean? Well, here's what I'm going to do first. I'm going to click on Layout 2. You know what? I don't like Layout 2, so I'm going to right click on it, and I'm going to say Delete it. And then it's going to give me this, oh my gosh, are you sure you want to delete it? Yes, I do. All right. Now I have Layout 1 and Model. Okay, I'm not going to hit the plus, but I'm going to right click on Mr. Layout 1, and I'm going to click and make Move or Copy. I want to create a copy of it right here. Click. And I'm going to click on Move to End so that it does make sure it moves to the end. It should anyway, but I don't know. This is just what I do. Okay. So now I have Layout 1. Whoops. I have Layout 1 and Layout 1, 2. Okay. Well, how am I going to know which one's inch and which one's metric? I should probably change the name, right? Probably. Okay. So, boys and girls, what we do is we right click and we go to rename. Bless you. So I'm going to make this inch for this one. And then I'm going to pick this guy. I'm going to right click on him and I'm going to rename him and I'm going to make him metric. Now, does that make this guy metric? No. He's still in inches. You know how many people I've had that didn't do this next step? Lots. They just made a copy of it, called it metric, and said, oh, I have a metric template. No, you don't. Why? Because you didn't change your paper to metric. I thought you said we didn't use metric paper. We don't, but we need to make this 8.5 by 11 into a metric size. Remember, AutoCAD doesn't care about units per se. It just has units. All you need to do is go to Move. Are you trying to figure out how to make that into that?
Yeah.
You have to double click inside of the scale. Yeah. All right, now, over here. All right, now, field on object, and then that, and then zoom out, and pick on the edge of your guy. All right, and pick on scale, scale name. Ta-da, and then hit close. All right, then you can use your move command to make that down there. Just the way you have to. Pick it. Oh, you have to actually pick the edge. All right, pick move. All right, now pick the corner. Put it on that inside, no, up one, up right there. All right, now pick that corner. Now you got to pick it like a. Now there you go. Boom, you're good. Okay. Sorry about that. Needed to fix something. So how do we make this metric? Here's how you do it. Right click, Page Setup Manager, Modify. And this is where I go, and people still haven't changed the printer and all that, and I'm like, whatever. So you could change this to 1 is equal to 25.4, this custom scale down here, and it would still probably work. But what's the point? Change this to metric, change this to 1:1, and guess what? When you click on this, now you have a metric piece of paper. Mr. Doty, what happened That's because this piece of paper is 25.4 times bigger than this. How do I fix it? We have a command for that.
I think I still did something wrong because this doesn't say like.
It's okay, because what would happen is, so if you activate this, you see that this matches this. So then if you click on this guy, you go up here 1-1. All right, now that didn't change. Oh, no. It's okay. Model. Now this is where we have to do one more step. So under insert, you've got update fields. Click on it. And what I typically do every time we do a drawing is I will put last name. Good. Okay, so sorry, just helping people as we go on. So what I need to do is I need to scale this up. So I'm going to click on scale, and I'm going to pick the window around everything in that corner like so, and then I'm going to hit enter. And what is my base point? 0, 0. Now, I mentioned the scale size, 25.4, because to convert an inch into metric, you would say that there are 25.4 millimeters per inch. So I'm going to do 25.4, enter, and presto, I have a metric layout. I am good to go, and I am almost ready to save this thing. So what you want to do is you're going to delete that one.
I'm sorry, I got a bit behind that.
Don't worry about it. All right, now right click on that one. And you want to over copy. Click on move to end. Copy. Hit OK. All right, now right click on that one. Rename inch. CH. Right click on that one. Rename metric. Okay, good. Now click on metric. Right click on metric. Go to page setup manager. Give it modify. Change that to metric. Change that to custom 1-1. All right, now hit close. Now go over to scale. The window around. Just pick. Yep. All right, enter. 0, 0. Oops. Enter. 25. Yeah, no problem. Okay, so let's go ahead and save this as a template file, and then we're going to do our annotations real quick and be done. So how do you save it as, well, you click on Save As, or if you clicked on Save. Now notice that it says it's a drawing file. I don't want a drawing file. I want a template file. So you click on the file type, and you go down here where you find template. It's in the middle down there. And you click on template. Well, now notice I already have a template in here. Well, I'm going to create another one. So what I want to do is I want to use my initials. Now, I normally actually, just to make things work better, oops, I always put AA in front of it so that it goes all the way to the top. Or you can use 0 dash. So AA dash or 0 dash will put your file at the top of the list. like this one has a whole bunch, so that might help me out, and mine would pop up to the top. So I'm going to do AA, I'm going to do my 3 initials, and then I'm going to do A size. And that's just how I call them. Now, like with all the rest of my files, I always do a date. You don't have to. Now I'm going to hit save. Now it always pops up this box here that says, hey, what are these template options? And I always just say, okay, and move on. So now you'll notice that it says that it's a DWT file. That's fine. So the last thing that I want to do is I want to set up the annotations so that I don't have to do it later. And what do you mean by that? Well, if you will go to the Annotate tab up here, and then you go over to where it says Dimensions, and this little button down here, this little arrow where it says Dim Style, you could also type in Dim Style and it'll pop this up. Now, we have 2, count them, 2 styles already there. Here's what we're going to do. Stuff doesn't work right if I try to make a new one. So we're going to use and rename these 2 to do what I want to do. Okay, one of them's going to be inch, one of them's going to be metric. So what I'm going to do first is under the annotated one, I am going to rename that guy. So I'm going to right click on him, I'm going to hit rename, and I'm just going to put annotative inch. Okay? And then I'm going to pick on standard, I'm going to right click on this one, and I'm going to click rename, and I'm going to type ANNOTATIVE space METRIC. Now, spell it right? I think so. Now, what does that even mean? Well, annotative means that it will scale everything when you change scales of your viewports, which is really handy because you don't have to figure out how big your text has to be. When I started out, I had to do that, and it was real pain. So, okay, well, right now I'm going to go back over to inch. Now, the settings that I have on the class may not agree with this, some of this stuff, but this is how it needs to work, because if you try to create a new one, which I do in my video, my other video, then you can't do what I need you to do. And you're like, what the heck are you talking about? I will explain. Let me explain. So I'm going to edit this guy right here, annotative inch. Click on modify. First of all, some person decided that this was the typical size for text. Now, why am I in text? I don't want to be in text. Let's start up here where we're supposed to. There's tabs across the top. You have lines, symbols and arrows, text, fit, primary units, alternate units, and tolerances. Now, what all do I need to change? Well, first of all, let's start out with the leftmost tab, lines. Baseline spacing, that's fine. I don't need to turn either one of these off. This is all fine. The only thing that is incorrect is extend beyond dimension lines, which means that when you have an extension line, it goes this distance past the dimension line. Well, that is not a standard size, but 0.125 is. So I'm going to change extend beyond dimension lines to 0.125. Then I'm going to go over here to symbols and arrows. Again, arrow size has never been 0.18. It's always been 0.125. And please turn off the center marks. So put none. We're going to use our own. We're going to use the tool. We don't want that. This is fine. This is fine. Now everything else is good. Text. Notice it says standard. Now, if I wanted to go to text style, I can click on this button right here. And remember where this was? Look at that. So standard is fine. That's what I'm on. And I want the height set to 0 here so that I can make it a certain height here. As long as it's 0 in the other spot, then guess what size it needs to be? 0.125. And then none of the rest of this changes down here for what we do. And then under fit, annotated is what we're set for, so we're good. Some people like to mess with this one where it says either text or arrows, or the text needs to fit in between, whatever, both text and arrows. And so it just depends on what you want to do. So I'm going to use that one for now. There was one that I thought I wanted for sure, but it doesn't matter. I can show you how to fix them and make them look good. All right, primary units. This is the one where I've had a hard time getting everybody to be on the same page. So for metric and inch dimensions, how you show trailing zeros or leading zeros and what those are different, okay? For inch dimensions, it's very important that my students, as they move along through CAD, know that you only suppress the leading zeros on inch dimensions. Trailing zeros have to be shown. Why? Because of tolerancing. If you don't show the zeros, that means that that tolerance for that number, that dimension, is different. Because for a whole number, it could be like 0.5, whereas for one place, it could be 0.05. You see where I'm going? So the more places I have, the tighter tolerance it can be. And so if they're set a certain way, then you need to show the zeros. So leading zeros suppressed, trailing zeros not. And the unit format is decimals. Precision. Honestly, I used to set it to 3 places, but you know what? Set it to 2, because typically most of our dimensions are set to 2. That way later on you don't have to change it. Okay? All right. I think that's all for this one. So, okay. Notice that you've got 2 places. It keeps the zeros. There's no zeros in front. See the 0.80 there? All right. Now, annotated metric. I'm going to pick on it. I'm going to pick modify. And then we're going to go back over here to lines, and we're going to start from left to right. Now, I need to convert everything into metric. All right, so baseline spacing does have to change to 9. Extend beyond dimension lines becomes 3. Offset from origin. Well, it's a 16th. 0.0625. So, well, let's see. 0.0625 times 25.4. That's 1.5. Okay. Yeah, I know it's 15875, but we don't have to be that perfect. All right, so you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make this one 1.5. 1.5. And that should get me close to the same thing as inches. All right, so then I'm going to symbols and arrows. Arrow size, guess what size they are? 3. No center marks. The break size has to be updated, 3. And this is fine, this is fine, yeah, this should be okay. All right, I think we're good on that one. So we go to text. Obviously the text is going to be 3. And then offset from dimension line is 0.09. Well, let's see what that actually would be. 0.09 times 25.4 is 2.28. Okay, so 2.28. That's not bad. I think I used to use 2, but that's fine. We're making it close to what it is. So 2.28 fit. This one wasn't set to annotated, so we need to make it annotated. So check that box, make sure you do, and then go over to primary units. Now for metric, it has 1 0, 1 decimal place, and this one has trailing zeros that are suppressed, but not the leading zeros. Okay? Trailing, not leading. It's the opposite. That should be all I need to change. So I'm going to hit OK. Now, the reason that I did this differently from my video that I need to go back and change is because AutoCAD changed and screwed up. It wouldn't let us save those suppression settings correctly on anything that you made new. But since I could change the existing one to that, that's what I did. And it should save that and work. So, hang on a sec, be right with you. So I'm going to hit close and I'm going to hit save. So that hopefully when I go back into it in a minute, it'll be right. Yes, sir.
So when I followed the video, you had us make a new one, and since
And you deleted the old one, didn't you?
No, that's the problem. I can't delete the old one. It says that it's in use.
Good. Don't delete the old one. Just change the old one and make it into what I just did.
Right, but now I have 3 of them and not 2 of them. There was one I made like when I followed the video, because in the video you said to create a new one.
Yeah, I know. Just delete it.
It won't let me delete it. It says cannot be deleted. It's in use or used in the current drawing.
Okay, well then just rename it into something else and change the standard one into the metric one and go from there.
Okay.
It's fine. It doesn't matter if you have an extra one in there. It's okay. You're not going to be the only one, trust me. I've got to figure out how to get this across to my online class who have already done some of this already. And so I've got to play fix just like this. So, yeah. It's fine. You can turn it back in. It's not going to hurt anything. But I do need to make it right. Otherwise, it's not going to work right. Like I said, I need to fix mine.
Also, can you show the dimension style like list again to make sure I have everything right, like the names and everything?
Yeah, I was going to open it back up. That's fine. Yeah, I'll go back over. Not a problem. Okay, so I wanted to do this anyway, so we're going to go back into here. Annotated metric is, and the other thing could be is you have annotated metric, or the one that you made, maybe it's set current, so you need to pick one of the other ones and activate it, hit set current, and then you might be able to delete it, but it's okay. If you can't, just rename it.
Yeah, I can delete it, thank you.
Call it something else. All right, anyway, metric. we'll go back over metrics. So the settings. For lines, you need to have baseline spacing of 9. Extend beyond dimension lines is 3. Offset from origin, I made it 1.5. Yeah, I know, I changed it from a video. That's okay. You don't always have to do everything the same way every time. Yeah, sometimes we figure out things are better. So symbols and arrows. Arrow size is 3. Center marks is none. Break size is 3. This is okay. Go to text. Text type is 3. Text style is standard. Should make sure that standard over here on the text style part is set to 0. And I made this offset from dimension line 2.28. Use 2, that's fine. 2.28, that's fine. I think originally in my video I used like 1 because I didn't do the conversion. Figure out that it was a little too tight. So anyway, 2.28 works. And then fit, make sure it says annotative. Primary units, 1 place for precision, and then trailing zeros should be suppressed. What happens is when you make a new one, it may or may not save your settings. And before, it wouldn't do it on the template, but it would do it when you made it into a drawing, and now it doesn't do it anytime. So that's why I've gone this route of making the 2 that exist into what we want to use. All right, so go back into inches, and we'll check on it. Under lines, you've got no changes except for this. This changed from 0.18 to 0.125. Symbols and arrows, change your arrow size to 0.125. Center marks is none. Text type 1.25. Fit is obviously annotated. Primary units. 2 places for precision. My video I do 3. That's fine. 0 suppression is only deleting for inch. For metric, you do the trailing. So, is that good, or do you have any other questions? Okie dokie. All right. How about you guys? Y'all ready to be done? Oh, there's one more thing. One more thing. Okay, so the last thing that I have people set up is this thing called a multi-leader. So you click on the little down arrow, and you've got 2 of these. Now the problem is I don't think I can really do anything to make it this. So on here, I actually make a metric one. So let's see what we need to fix on the annotated one, and then we'll just make a copy of it, okay? So annotative, modify, starting from left to right, leader format, arrowhead, guess what? 1.25. Leader break, that's fine. Leader structure. Now what I found is this landing distance, which is this right here, is huge. So what I do.
Sorry, can you go back to the previous one?
What, this one?
Yeah. All right.
All I changed was an arrowhead.
Like.
You good?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. All right, leader structure. So, like I was saying, this is a little too big. So, I'm just going to make it 0.25, and that's fine. I don't really change anything else here. And then we're going to go to content. So, change your setting for your landing distance to 0.25. And now content. So, multi-leader type, text, that's fine. Text style, Yep. Text angle, I don't change anything except the height. Guess what it's going to be? 0.125. Now, if you needed to do something like make one that had a box around it, there's that option there. So you can make you a style that did that. There in the other half of our book that we use for CAD 200, it goes in and shows you how to adjust the multi-layers to make different things. That's pretty cool. So anyway, all right, so let's review on content. Just change this to 0.125 for text height. Don't adjust any of this down here, it's fine. Leader structure, landing distance, change it to 0.25. And then the leader format, arrowhead, 0.125. And see, for the arrowhead, like if you were going to make different ones, you have options here where you can make them into cool stuff. But we just use the closed field arrowhead for right now. All right, so that's all we need for this one. Sweet, okay. Now, how do we make a copy of this guy? Well, we're going to click on New, New Style Name. All right, well, I'm just going to pick in front of that, go to the end of it, add a space, and type in metric. Because we're going to turn him into metric. Start with annotated, that's fine. And yes, it needs to be annotated. Continue. All right, so guess what we need to change? A lot of stuff. Anything that says 0.125 turns into 3. So that's 3. Leader structure, that's going to be 6 because that's 2 times 3. Nothing else on there. And then content, obviously that goes to 3. And then that was 2.2. I think I had 2.28 on the other thing. Let's try 2.2 and see what it looks like. Okay, that looks pretty good. So, under content, change text height to 3. Change your landing gap to 2.2 or 2. It's fine. Leader structure, change the landing distance to 6. And then the leader format, change your arrowheads to 3 and the break size to 3. And that should get you on that one. So any questions on this one? Okay. Everybody online okay? All right. So now I have these two. It doesn't matter which one's set current, it's okay. I'm going to hit close. All right. Now, do I want to start off on this place or do I want to start off in model space to draw? Well, I want to start off in model space, so, sorry, not to hit that corner. So I'm going to be in model space, and I'm actually going to I'm going to go to home. So I'm ready to draw. I'm going to change from layer 0 to object layer because that's typically where I start. Now, I went slow this time, and we still got her done. And now, since I've already done my save as, I saved it as a template, I can just click on save, and I've saved my template. The only problem is you can't find it to turn it in, but it's on this computer, whatever computer you're on. How do I get a copy of it into my OneDrive? Well, this is where we're going to go to do a save as. Leave it like this, but this time I'm going to click on OneDrive, or you can click up here and find OneDrive. But I'm going to click on OneDrive, and I'm going to save it under Documents, and I'm going to leave everything the same. click save. It's going to do the same thing here. You hit OK. And now I've got another copy in a place that I can find to turn in or open on a different computer. Yeah. So what happens is when you create your template, it's only on this computer that you're on. If you want to have it somewhere else, you have to do a save as and find somewhere else to save it. But you want it in the template folder here too. So anyway, that's kind of the little short and long of it. And I'm going to close this out because I do not want to open it unless I need to edit it. Okay? So when I start a new drawing, I'm going to click on Browse Templates, and this is the one I just made. So I'm going to do a new file and click on here, Open, and notice it says Drawing 2. Now I can start drawing, make my drawing, whatever it has on it. And then let's say it was an inch drawing. You go over to my inch template, and then I can double click and activate my viewport. Right now it's set to 1:1. Apparently that's too big. So then I could change it to 1:2. That would make it look smaller. Maybe that's not good enough. So then I could change it to 1:4. And that fits in there. All right. Well, guess what happened? Nothing's, well, I haven't saved it yet, so let's save it. So let's say I saved this one as, I don't know, test. Save it as test. And notice that it says drawing, not template. Save.
Sign, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Sign, please.
Yeah.
It's easier to just go around, get everybody's signature and submit it all at once. So I can just hand them all to Tim, and Tim can sign them, and then we'll send them all off. 60? 60? Got big issue, right?
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you.
Okay, so anyway, notice that when I saved it, that the test is the name of the file, it's got the date, it's got the scale. If some of this doesn't update, what you can do is you can go over here to Insert, Update Fields, put a window around it. Doesn't matter what you catch, it's only going to do fields. And enter after you pick both corners. It'll update it for you, and then you just hit save, and you can turn it in. So that's basically creating your template. Now you've saved it in both places. Does anybody at home have any questions? All right, well, if you don't, if you do, that's fine. But if you don't, I'm going to go ahead and call it and get this video downloading so I can put it on the other class. Do you guys have any questions in here? And if you didn't quite get to everything, it's okay. It's on the video. Rewatch the video if it helps. Ask me questions. And I think I've done everything I want to do for today. And that'll let us finish up on Thursday doing the rest of our stuff. Okay, so thank you guys for being here online. I'm going to go ahead and sign off. And y'all have a lovely day.
Have a good day.